Huh. Hello everyone. Today's topic is how to remove doubts, fears, and negative thoughts from our system. Let me start from the basics. I usually talk about this. Our idea of life is different because of the life that we live on earth. When we realize our actual identity, that we are a soul exhibiting and inhabiting this humanly body on earth, and we learn things because of that life, and it is not the ultimate truth. So, everything that we believe in, everything that we practice, everything that we assume, think, anticipate, desire, expect to happen, it's because of the life that we have on earth. If you really want to change your life, you have to start from within, asking some simple question: who am I? Remembering our true identity is very, very essential. People have a lot of misconception regarding whoever they are, their powers, the idea about God. Because whenever people start to talk about gods, they seems to move towards idea of religion. Religion is different, gods and the idea of God is very different. The idea of God is unconditional loving. Gods are unconditional loving. And there are a lot of people who take on the cues that comes from earth, and they think that God is the one who's telling them to do this and that and that and that. No. God can only be unconditionally loving. No. You can do this test if you're willing to check it. The random thoughts that comes to the mind. If you're sitting quietly and doing something very with the focus, and suddenly some random thoughts come about some random celebrity or something that you saw online, or some random person that you may met some years ago, or some unpleasant thing that you experienced in your past, or some random urge to get up and do something randomly. You remember that you kept your cup in the counter, and you suddenly remember that, oh, it should not be there. The clothes are hanging, it's not, let's bring that in, or whatever. Small of which is it's insignificant in that moment. These kind of thoughts comes not because of our own understanding, it's not because of ourselves, it's because of the negative effect of the earth. And even when we are speaking the something, when we are trying to say something else coming up, or when we are trying to write something else coming up, suddenly you are thinking about something and suddenly forgetting about that. This is not because of our nature. Our nature is divine. We can never forget things. The more we are in tune with our own self, our cognitive abilities, our memory power, our confidence, our everything, our vitality increases. So when we start to fall in love with our own self without being cruel to somebody else, the understanding of being cruel also different for people, because people who are with a lot of trauma, who are trained to be this nice person to everybody, their understanding of, if they say something like no to someone else, that seems like cruelty to them. Because there are a lot of people, whether, I'll give you a simple example. This is something that I read somewhere. A person who has a lot of money, and they know that they are not supposed to give money to the people, relatives, friends, and if they say no, they feel guilty because they think that they already has the money and other people doesn't have it. And if they're asking for it, it's their job to give it to them. And if they're not giving, those people will start to say something, use the emotional blackmailing, or saying something negative, that you're cruel, now we have changed because now we have money, your mentality has changed, now you're looking down on us because you have money, and now suddenly you're all ego. Those kind of things that he has to hear or she has to hear. So in order to not to get into that, either they give the money or not to indulge in this kind of negativity, they do this, or they make themselves feel guilty for not giving the money because they think God has given to them, and let's give it to everybody else who needs it. That is not how it's supposed to be. You know, abundance is everybody's right when they accept it. When there is a limit that we can do to someone else, when we come out of that negativity, then our mentality changes, then we become a different kind of person. People who do not understand that will always criticize. That is exactly why when people become successful or rich, suddenly they change their personality, or they change their friend circle. It is not everybody. There are people who feel this egoistical thing and they change their circle. That is not obviously, but there are a lot of people who worked hard, who changed their mentality, their behavior, their perception of life and idea of money, and they manifested that beautiful life for them. And suddenly they cannot associate themselves with their previous self. That is why they cannot have a conversation or a relationship with the people who have that negative ideologies in life. So these kind of people who think, just because their friends, their relatives got rich, that they has to receive some kind of a money from them, because these people have the idea that it is supposed to be theirs. But if they themselves become rich, they may never share it. But if somebody else does that to them, suddenly it becomes a problem to them. So these kind of people who are surrounded, if a person who become rich surrounded by these kind of people, that person feeling guilty for not being able to say no to this person is also him doing wrong thing to himself. See, this feeling of guilt also, feeling of right and wrong, this is okay, this is not okay, it is all our understanding. Only divine can judge us, no others. We have to be kind to ourselves. you know when we have something good, when our cup is completely full, and then we are sharing that with somebody else, that is really good. But when somebody is there to, you know it's like a, I wouldn't even say vulture, someone who's there to just take without showing gratitude, taking this person's goodness for granted, and make it feel like they're the one who's actually being benevolent to this person by taking this person's money. If the person doesn't give the money, and making that person feel guilty for it, and this person feeling guilty for it, this is all something really not right. See, this is exactly why people with a different financial background, there are a lot of things happens, but people with a different financial background, people with different educational background, they think differently, they behave differently, their way of life is different. Ego based behavior is completely different, but perception of life is very different. That is why people doesn't get along with each other sometimes, because of, it is not just because they have money and someone else doesn't have it. It's because of the idea of what it is. For example, if a woman is okay being, letting go of every single thing, and live like a housewife, she might choose that life. And whether her husband treats her right or that is completely different, she might choose that life. And even if she suffers, she might feel happy about it because she dreamt about it. And somebody might actually choose a life where she is financially independent and she is also married. She is not ready to give up her financial independence. She is not selfish, she is just having a self understanding, a self realization. No matter what happens in life, I'm going to be there for myself. This is not because of too much caution as well. This is our obligation towards ourselves, that the way we are in this body, we are taking care of this body, we are taking care of our mind, our psychology, our spirit, our energy, our psyche, just the way having our own financial independence is also our divine right. That is not selfishness. This is our basic requirement. When someone is completely healed, this is exactly why certain people see, things in a very, very, very different way. People who have no idea of what love is, having a completely different idea, and people who have already experienced love, having the idea of what love is completely different. It is same with the religious people, or it is same with the spiritual people. Once you experience things, it becomes completely different. So the idea about life is different for every person. Person to person to person is very different. What changes is our intentions. I remember, um, I think it's Jay-Z something, speaking somewhere I saw, saying that, his uncle or somebody, they used to tell when he was younger, very negative thinking about money and having a very negative attitude towards money, you know, talking about fate and destiny and giving all the examples, comforting themselves that they cannot change their fate or something like that. And him telling that it's there somewhere online, I think that if he listened to all of those things, that he could not become the person that he is today. It was few years ago that I saw. you know it's just that he did not believed in those negative things that came towards him with the people that he grew up with. This is exactly, whatever he did, I don't know, whatever we do, it's our choices. When we change our perception, when we can do a lot of things like that, we change our life. You know, even something simple as friendship. People who grew up very timidly, being criticized a lot, expected a lot, grew up with a lot of cruel people, narcissistic people, takers, they hesitate to speak up, to stand up for themselves. They may speak up and stand up for somebody else. They may feel sorry for an animal and they do a lot for things. But when it comes to them, they may feel hesitate to speak up. They may feel hesitate to stand up for themselves, and they don't know how to handle that because they're afraid of criticism. They're afraid of getting into a conflict, verbal conflict, because they have never been experienced a healthy way of discussing, sitting down and having a conversation, even disagreement within their own family, with their friends. So for them, having to confront means they have to fight, means it's like a final moment for them. So until then they suffer, they take in, they suffocate, because they tell themselves that it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, and suddenly one day they cannot, and suddenly it comes off every single thing. It's because they were never taught to express, they were not allowed to express their true grievance with people when they were growing up. No, either they were always criticized, they were always made feel like nobody listened to them, or whenever they complained, whenever they were trying to say something as a child, they were all shut down by their parents or guardians by saying you're too sensitive, or you're too complaining, you're too much, you're never satisfied, you're always troublesome, you're this, you're that. The kids are very intelligent. They watch their parents and they learn a lot. So this is how people grow up. This is exactly why I usually connect these two, three things and then come to the point. Because when you talk about human experiences, you know, unless you're sitting in the same place, people might not realize the truth of the situation. It is like you will never realize what heartbreak is unless you experience that actual heartbreak is. You know, it still might be different for different people. For example, if somebody who truly loves themselves, not just ideologically, it's easy to say I love myself, but when we love ourselves, we do not let others to walk over us, we do not let others to take us for granted, we do not sacrifice, compromise ourselves for the selfish reasons of others. We do not let any belief system to bring us down. That is actual way to express self-love. We value our self-worth, we value our self-love, we value our self-respect. We do not stand and sit if someone is disrespecting. Even as simple as it is, there are people who go to the restaurant and order something and something else comes, or there is a lot of salt is there or something else is there. Some people are there like it's okay, and they eat it. It's because they have been accustomed they've been trained to adjust with everything that comes to their life, so they hesitate, and it's like they don't even sometimes realize it. They hesitated to speak up and do all of those things. So it's very essential to break out from those things and say that this is not what I ordered, this is salty, this is spicy, this is too spicy for me, this is too salty for me, this is not what I ordered. And that adjustment, because they are scared that something might happen, that trauma has to go away. The trauma, how goes it? Because when we reach a place that either you have to reach a lowest point of your life and realize that these things are not working out for me, so I have to change these kind of things, behaviors, thoughts, processes, how do I handle life and everything. Or you see somebody else suffering and convince yourself that I'm not going to live that life, so I'm changing everything. And most importantly, it's all inverse. Sometimes just self-realization is also helpful, so we can do a lot to change ourselves. I'll speak that in next video. So until then, have a good day.